Boom, guys, listen, we're back, and today I want to talk to you guys about procrastination and action mindsets. All right, this is something I learned about during my special forces training, and it's not something I went in there with, but it took me, I had to learn it the hard way, essentially. And so now I just want to start off by saying this, like building an action mindset, getting to a point of, hey, I'm going to take action, I'm going to do this thing. What is the opposite thing of that, right? Procrastination. Exactly, right? So how do you combat procrastination, right? The opposite would be decisiveness, right? So when we did our special forces training, usually during some of the first field exercises we did there, my big issue was that, and this might sound really weird to some of you, maybe you can't relate or anything, or maybe you actually can. Because one of my bigger issues there was that I spent too much time because, getting good quality sleep and being efficient is, of high priority. And so one of my biggest issues was that I would take too much time focusing on finding a good place to sleep, right? And you might think that, hey, well, Nico, of course you would want a good place to sleep, right? Well, it's not that simple. Because again, you have to be really efficient with your time and your the amount of sleep you're actually able to get there. So the way I solved this, because I had to solve it, because I was realizing that, hey, why is everyone else asleep while I'm still awake, setting up my tent? And so I looked at myself. I took a bird's eye view of what I was doing, and I was like, something is wrong here. So I used comparison actually as a tool there. I was like, everyone's asleep. Everyone's already in their bunks. Why am I not, right? So comparison helped me out. I realized that the people around me, the people who were doing the right things, they were getting more sleep than me. They were more efficient. Now, why is that, right? So I realized that, hey, we need to fix this. I need to be be more decisive about what I actually want to do. So I started to, whenever we got back in the field, I was like, hey, is this okay? Is this like 80% okay, where I'm trying to set up my tent? Like even in darkness sometimes, you can't even see this stuff. Like you just put out your thing and it's like, okay, a bit of a lump there, like in your back, trying to sleep on it. So you can't really see. But it's like 80% of the time, if it's like 80%, like if it's around 80% good enough, then you're usually fine. It doesn't need to be 100% all the time. And what this comes back to is like when we're sitting there and there's all this stuff we want to do and maybe we're procrastinating, one of the big issues is sitting on decisions for too long, all right? Sitting on decisions for too long is essentially procrastination, right? Because you have all this stuff. Hey, should I do this? Should I do that? You know there's something you need to do, but you can't get it done. And so what I learned through that being forced on me, the special forces thing, me having to actually get good quality sleep very fast, was that either I make the decision to set up my tent here or I move it and stop being around the bush all the time and just, thinking, oh, could I set up there? Could I set up there? Oh, could I do this, do that, right? It's like either I set this up right now or I move. It's either that. I make it so simple for myself, just like that. It can't be like you go in there and you have all these options, right? Usually more options is really, really bad for you. You see this again with sales too. If you give someone a lot of options, you usually won't sell as much. And so it's the same for life, right? You kind of have to sell yourself on a decision. You have to sell yourself on the good decisions. You have to, plead with yourself and talk to yourself like you're someone you care for. Like, hey, we have these options, and then you don't want to give them too much options, right? You only give them a few options. Be like, hey, which one do you want? Simple as that. Maybe it's two options. Hey, you can either sleep there, you can either sleep there. But the most important part is always like, make the decision. Make a decision. And I'll tell you guys this too, is that when you're sitting on the fence about doing something, sorry, this road is here bumpy, might be a little bumpy on camera. When you're sitting there and you're waiting for a decision to make, you should know this, that the most important part isn't what the decision is usually. It's just about making a decision, okay? Making a decision. Sitting down and being like, hey, I have these options, and I'm gonna do this. It doesn't really matter what. It's just that, hey, I'm gonna do this, or I'm not gonna do this. It's saying to yourself, hey, I'm gonna, like, it's going forward with intent, essentially. Going forward with some intent that, hey, we're gonna actually do this, or we're not gonna do this. It doesn't matter if it's like, okay, let's say you're going to the gym, and you're procrastinating about going to the gym or not going to the gym. The worst thing you can do is be like procrastinating and just letting time run out, and then suddenly you're like, okay, I didn't make it, right? That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing you can do. Procrastination is one, you lost. Simple as that. The best thing you can do, and I'm saying this, right? Okay, let's say this. The best thing you can do is, of course, go to the gym. But the second best thing is to make a conscious decision. Hey, we're gonna go to the gym, or hey, okay, today we're not going to go to the gym. At least you made a decision, right? At least you made a decision. That's the most important thing. And so over time, of course, it has to be rationale behind it to some extent. It's like, maybe you're sore in your legs or something, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm sitting here, I'm playing my video games or whatever you're doing, right? And you're like, oh, should I go to the gym or whatever, right? Maybe you can just tell yourself, hey, okay, today we're not going to go to the gym, tomorrow we're going to do this and this instead, and we're going to absolutely kill it. Just like that. You made a decision, you didn't go to the gym, okay, it's, you know, not optimal, but at least you made a decision. And that's always going to be a precursor to building that action mindset, because over time you're going to be more decisive with every single decision. And I'll tell you guys this too, people like decisive people, right? Not overly decisive, people who are like, you know, absolutely, what is it called? People are absolutely reckless. They see one decision and they just charge at it. There should be some contemplation about, okay, we have this option, and then it's like, okay, let's go with that, boom, just like that. It doesn't need to be a lot of thinking, okay? Thinking, okay? I talk about this a lot. The paralysis by analysis. This is a big countermeasure for that. Making a decision. Doesn't, like I said, the decision of I'm not gonna do this or I'm gonna do this. It's pretty equal. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. I think that over time, if you just start making these decisions, these smaller ones, being decisive about that, you're going to see a lot of effects from that just throughout your life. It doesn't have to be the biggest decision, but it has to be like, am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this? Okay, yes, maybe, no, okay, boom. You just decide on the spot. That's really something that helped me from my military experience as well, being more decisive about, okay, we have to do this because I'll tell you this, guys. The biggest killer, all right, the biggest killer to success is inaction. Okay, inaction kills anything. If you don't get anything done, then nothing happens. Of course, that makes sense. But like being decisive about it, that is forward movement in some sense. All right, and it does something with your mindset. It's like, hey, I'm taking charge of life instead of it just happening to me. And I think that's the biggest point of it all. All right, so with that, hope you guys enjoyed. Take care, and God bless.